name is Nicole Horseherder, and I work for the organization Nizhóní, which is a Dene organization based on Black Mesa, which is in northeast Arizona on the Navajo Nation. Nizhóní means Sacred Water Speaks. Its mission is to protect the water source of Black Mesa.
My name is Percy. I'm retired. I'm 71 years old. I used to be a president at the local chapter. Then I used to be a member of the County Board of Supervisors for Navajo County. I do a lot of volunteer work for the community situated on the Black Mesa area near where the Peabody mine used to be.
I'm Wahleah Johns. I'm the director of the Office of Indian Energy at the Department of Energy. We provide technical assistance to 574 tribal nations and Alaska Native villages and corporations. We also provide financial assistance. For this administration, there's a huge commitment to transitioning communities like the one I come from in Black Mesa, where we once had one of the largest coal strip mines in the Southwest.
My name is Ben Nuvamsa. I am a member of the Hopi Tribe from the village of Shingopavi, Second Mesa. I am a member of the Bear Clan. The Bear Clan in our culture are the traditional leaders. And that's really why I'm doing what I'm doing, because it's my duty. I am former chairman of the tribe. I have been working on the issue of reclamation of the coal mines on Black Mesa, on our Aboriginal lands. The whole ecology has been impacted, and that needs to be brought back to the pre-mining condition. The federal government appears not to be concerned about reclamation, and neither is the coal mining company Peabody Coal.
The lease was signed between Peabody, the Navajo Hopi Tribe, and also Department of Interior back in 1969. Nicole's family and my family are the same clan, which is in Navajo is Chisha. She's a Chisha and I'm a Chisha.
I got my master's in linguistics in 1998 from the University of British Columbia. I went there because I wanted to study in a place where the most number of indigenous language families were represented. I originally came home and I wanted to teach at the local community college. I wanted to teach Navajo language and linguistics 101 and 102, beginning syntax or something like that. But I maybe after I stop doing this work, I can do that. When I came home in 1998, of course, one of the conversations was, where are you going to build your home and where are you going to raise your children? And I had already chosen a place in my clan lands. Then I realized that the springs nearby no longer produced water. And I asked my mom and my grandparents, what happened to the water? And they said, well, this spring here stopped producing water this many years ago, and the spring over there stopped producing water X number of years ago. And I was baffled by this. They didn't have a clear explanation. I, of course, took my Western training, started doing some research and started asking some questions and found my answers talking to some experts and some people who worked at the USGS. They had been collecting data in the Black Mesa region since the early 70s, and I found out that the decline in the aquifers were due to the coal mining that was happening on Black Mesa.
The Peabody Coal Company pumped the Navajo aquifer, which is pristine Ice Age water. And they were pumping 3 million gallons a day, starting back in the 60s, all the way till when the tribes shut it down in 2005. Those are billions and billions of gallons of water.
The Black Mesa mine transported coal to the Mojave generating station using a pipeline. and it used groundwater as its means of pushing pulverized coal to the power plant 273 miles away.
When I was just a little kid, I used to herd sheep. We used to have a large flock of sheep and cattle. What my parents and the neighbors used to do was they used to dig, with their hands, and they go no more than 3 feet down, 4 feet down, and you see a lot of water coming up. And that's how they used to water their animal. Right now, there's nothing.
When we discovered that the mining company was using excessive amounts and wasting our groundwater, Percy, one of our local leaders in the community, advised us to create an organization that would advocate for the water. Of course, it was, how do we stop this? How do we get industry off our only source of drinking water? How do we get them to stop using it in such an irresponsible way? Where do we go? I remember one of the very first trips I made with my husband, Marshall Johnson, and his niece, Wahleah Johns, who's now in the Department of Energy under the Biden administration. We made a trip to the Office of Surface Mining in Denver, the regulatory agency that oversees mining and enforces mining regulation on indigenous land, and, brought our concerns to them. And the man who spoke to us told us that we have a government to government relationship. If you have concerns about the coal company operating on Black Mesa, you take those concerns to the Navajo Nation. That's what he told us. And thank you, Office of Surface Mining. You set us on our journey, and here we are today, 20 years later.
It was that journey that got me here. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for water. The Navajo Aquifer taught me a lot about life, really, culturally, spiritually. You come from a community like Black Mesa where we still don't have access to power. We don't have access to running water. And yet, these resources, water and coal, have been, exported to provide power for cities like Los Angeles and Las Vegas.
Life has been very difficult for us. There's no power, no running water. The road are in terrible condition. The well at the nearest chapter is 20 miles. You got to go south and get your water. That's where I get my water.
Organizations got together and fought for the end to the pumping of the aquifer for the Black Mesa slurry line. And so we ended that excessive, wasteful, and irresponsible use of pristine groundwater back in 2005. Kayenta Mine continued to operate after that and stopped operating in August of 2019. They continued to use 1,200 acre feet of the same groundwater right up until they closed. Fighting mining companies and power plants and working towards closure, that's hard stuff. That's really intense stuff. It's had a toll on me and others that I work with. Whoever invited me to the first IEEFA training, bless their heart. It's a connection that was meant to be. One of the very first things I asked them was, I need someone to evaluate how unprofitable and how uneconomical Navajo generating station is. I need to know what it's costing to run the plant, and I need to know what the cost of renewable energy is in comparison to coal. And they came back with a report. I could translate it for the Navajo speaking public, and those reports in our hand were our weapons, basically. Our weapons against continued fossil fuel.
Black Mesa Mine has been closed for over 15 years, and there's been no closeout reclamation done, very little. The Peabody Coal Company has already filed for bankruptcy in 2016, And then now they are indicating they might file another bankruptcy. So if that happens, if the federal courts allow them to leave, then it leaves it up to the states or the local governments to find the financing to do the reclamation work. And that is one of the reasons why we are looking to the federal government to appropriate funds to repair the damage.
The vegetation is pretty much all gone. That used to be there for the animals, like the deer, the antelope, and they've all left simply because there's no more forage for them. And Navajo people are known for their rug weaving. They used to use certain plant to dye their wool. Now they can't find those plant anymore. Then the other thing is that the corn used to grow maybe about 5-6 feet high. A couple of years ago, I tried planting, and it grew no more than a foot high, simply because it really lacks water. The soil is now different. The squash isn't there. The potato isn't there. And all these other vegetables that I used to plant, it just simply isn't there.
Diné people live within the lease area. They have to be involved today to plan for what their community is going to look like when these lands are returned to them.
When and if the Office of Surface Mining, Reclamation, and Enforcement decides to do the reclamation work, they need to issue a permit to the Peabody Coal Company that is a significant permit revision. Significant permit revision then would trigger an environmental impact statement. It would trigger tribal participation in the decision making.
A lot of tribes want to go towards renewable energy, and that's not a surprise to me because it's all in line with our values, our teachings, our language. We got to create a model that is actually centered around community, centered around the environment, centered around the people.
The root of Navajo belief, the root to Navajo way of life is having respect with Mother Nature. In Navajo, they say, "Twa ina at eh." That what that means is water is life.
When we started our work, we constantly drew upon the knowledge and the wisdom of our traditional teachings of water. Anytime we lost our direction, the water always refocused us and reminded us of the true goal of our movement, that is to protect the water for the future generations.